Welcome to the Jaron Jarvis channel. I am Jaron Jarvis. Today, I would like to introduce to you, where the dog sleeps. My wife, Holly, and I recently adopted a new dog, a young German Shepherd named Coda. We have had her for about a month, and I already love her like family. She is only a couple months old, so she's quite small, but I got her a large crate that she'll grow into. When I first bought the dog's crate, Holly joked that I could probably fit inside of it. Being as gullible as I am, I got on the floor and backed into it. Sure enough, the cage was large enough to shelter me, with extra room. I remember thinking how dark it was in there. My wife, of course, took many photos of this, which she then shared with everyone we knew. I was able to laugh it off. Within a few weeks, we had trained Coda to sleep in the crate at night. The first few nights, she howled and whined for almost an hour before finally settling down. However, being as obedient as she is, our puppy soon learned that the crate was her den, a safe, private place for her to stay. Every night, once Coda was tired, she would drag herself to her crate and curl up inside. At first, not wanting to scare her by trapping her in, I waited until she was asleep to close the crate. It was at that point I realized what a horrible creaking noise the metal makes when I shut the cage door. It woke up Coda immediately and she started whimpering, begging to be let out. From that point, I started closing the door as soon as she went inside, as to avoid being kept awake for the next hour. Holly and I have spent a lot of quality time with our new dog since we got her. We began understanding her behavior. We understood what it meant when she stared at a piece of furniture in our house and what it meant when she stood up and arched her back like a cat. We learned it was normal for dogs to bark at nothing. That's something Coda was great at doing. Specifically, she would bark at the space between the living room couch and the wall, or the gap behind the wardrobe. It really freaked me out, but through a quick Google search, Holly found out it was a perfectly normal thing for dogs to do. Eventually, we got used to each other's presence. We no longer felt the need to be around Coda every second we were at home, which happened to be perfectly timed. Holly had gotten a promotion and she left for a business trip 2 days ago. She will not be coming home for another few days. I was comfortable managing Coda on my own for that long. I'll admit, it was a bit more difficult, since she's the type of dog who tries to eat anything that could fit in her mouth, but I had been handling things just fine up until last night. I had woken up after just a few hours of sleep, due to Coda's whimpering. I let her out, put her on the leash and took her outside to do her business in the middle of the night. I brought her back inside with no trouble and carried her back to my room. It had been getting colder, being near the end of the year, and I decided to let Coda sleep on the bed that night. She passed out in a matter of minutes, but as tired as I was, I just couldn't fall asleep. I felt uneasy. Maybe I just missed my wife. Holly had only been gone 2 days, but it just felt strange not having her around. I decided to just close my eyes and wait to fall unconscious. Even lying there with my eyes closed would offer more rest than staying up all night. Just as I was falling asleep, a loud, creaking noise jolted me awake. I recognized it as the sound the crate door makes when it opens. I kept my eyes tightly shut. Coda's weight remained almost still against my leg, save for the slow breaths she took. I heard shuffling, and a ragged, wheezing breath that was growing louder. There was a sound like bare feet slapping against the hardwood floor, slowly, as though someone was pacing around the room. I pretended to be asleep as the sounds grew closer, until I could feel a hot, rasping breath against my face. It only lasted a couple seconds, but it felt like hours went by before it finally pulled away. I didn't dare open my eyes, afraid to see whatever decrepit, rotting face only nightmares could conjure. The room suddenly fell completely silent. In seconds, I was able to hear Coda's soft snoring, and my own heartbeat. What had just happened? My tired mind could not comprehend what I thought I had just experienced. I was still, paralyzed in fear, too shaken to move a muscle. Somehow, it was morning again. I had managed to fall asleep after everything that had happened. I have no clue what to do. I'm writing this on my laptop on one of the park benches, with Coda right next to me. I don't know where I could stay, since most places don't allow pets and I have no friends anywhere near this town. I now know why Coda used to bark and growl at the dark spaces in my house. Something had been living there all along, and it had just found a new place to sleep,